to ArchRivals Football, sponsored by Raz Energy and Steiner Sports. Here is your starting lineup. Number 20, Darnell the Playmaker Sallins. Number 94, Alex the Bearman Kazzaz. Number 69, Ricky the Preslit Winkowicz. And in tribute to our fallen colleague, ArchRivals Football, Ring of Honor member, Alex Fleming. This show is a Pain Train Pipe Bomb production.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? How you doing on this Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021? It's time to talk some college football. You know me, the host, Darnell, the Playmaker, Sallins for the college football edition of ArchRivals. You know my co-host out in Texas. They call him the Bear Man of Texas. What's going on, my brother?
What's up, brother? Enjoying the cold weather, actually.
You enjoying the cold weather? I don't do cold weather.
I'm half man, half bear, and I was born in the winter, so it shouldn't be a surprise.
True that. Alex. It's gonna be a pretty lengthy show today.
Well, I'm ready.
Because,
so let's do this. Let's do this.
We saw what happened over the weekend, and we saw what happened last night. And it's a lot to go through. So let me go ahead. I'm gonna give it. Usually, I don't want who jumpstart the takeaways for week 9, but I'm gonna give it to you first. Go ahead. Your takeaways from week 9.
Oh boy. You know, it's one of those situations. I don't even know where to begin, brother. But when that happens, you know when college football had a good weekend, where you say, I don't even know where to start. Shall we go?
Good game took place.
I think, you know what? Let's go and start with this because this is a pick that I certainly got wrong. Wisconsin beating up on Iowa. I didn't see that coming.
They actually did. I would give, they. So you got your ass whooped at home by Purdue. You got a bye week, and then you went to Wisconsin and they whooped your ass. I don't know. I just don't know about Wisconsin. I really don't.
Well, what about the Battle of Michigan? The Wolverines and the Spartans. Well, bad luck for Jim Harbaugh and company. And they still got to play the Buckeyes.
Yes, they do. They still got to play the Buckeyes. They still got to play, Penn State. Hey, the Big Ten East is looking pretty good, and we gonna get into some Heisman talk today too, because it's about that time. It's November. The college football polls are out. We gonna get there.
Talk about the Big Ten. Yeah, Ohio State beating Penn State.
Penn State, they just can't get over that hump, can they? They cannot get over that hump. Which is Ohio State. Let's be for real. They can't get over Ohio State. Shout out to Bo Nix. Auburn. Taking down Mike Corral and Ole Miss Rebels. Bo Nix showed the hell up today. Give Bo Nix credit. He showed the hell up. He showed up.
22 for 30.
And speaking of the SEC, Georgia Bulldogs clinched the SEC East. All because Kentucky got slapped around by Mississippi State. Who saw that coming? I didn't. Did you?
No. Well, I saw the Georgia beating Florida. Okay, that we saw coming, but Kentucky getting ragdolled, not so much.
So Georgia is going to Atlanta. Shout out to the Braves.
Shout out to the Braves, and you know what? If everybody's wondering what I think of the Astros, Darnell, you might want, if you want to tell them about my stance, you go right ahead, brother, because you know it better than you know it better than anyone.
We'll say that for another day.
Well, long story short, I never liked the Astros. Never.
So now, let's Let's talk some Heisman, shall we?
Oh, yes, let's.
Let's talk some Heisman. Now, with the Heisman races in November, now the real race for the Heisman begins. Number 1 on my list, Kenneth Walker III, the running back for Michigan State Spartans. 1,194 yards on the season, 14 touchdowns, averaging 6.8 yards per carry, Bear Man.
And
not to mention that performance he had against Michigan.
5 touchdowns, about 200 yards. I mean, he's definitely on my list too.
Number 2 on my list for Heisman, Bryce Young, quarterback for Alabama, completing 70% of his passes, 2,453 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and 2 rushing touchdowns to go with that. One thing about Alabama, they always got somebody in the Heisman race.
I mean, that would be Alabama and Oklahoma, my friend.
Not this time. I don't have Oklahoma in my top 3.
Oh.
I'm going CJ Stroud at number 3 for Ohio State, quarterback, completing 67% of his passes, 2,270 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. The Buckeyes have been looking so much better after they lost to Oregon. And CJ Stroud is part of the reason. That's my top 3. What is your top 3?
Well, I have to be honest with you, Playmaker. It's no difference that 2 guys who know what they're doing think alike, because I too have Kenneth Walker as well as CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. But I was looking at some of the other guys as well. You know, Caleb Williams, maybe not this year. I mean, Caleb Williams is definitely a respectable candidate for this year, but if he doesn't win it this year, I guarantee you he will win it in his tenure at the University of Oklahoma. We saw what Caleb Williams has done ever since Lincoln Riley put him in the game.
Yep,
Caleb Williams has done a great job. So, I mean, he's a true freshman. Now, we've seen true freshmen win. Now, I've always said this, a true freshman winning the Heisman is probably not the best thing, but if he's good enough, then I guess what the hell. But Caleb Williams definitely has a bright future, I can tell you that. But to answer you, my top 3, I mean, I'm just like you. I got Mr. Stroud, Mr. Young from Alabama, and Kenneth Walker III out of Michigan State. You just can't ignore it. I mean, you simply can't ignore his performance against the Wolverines. I mean, 5 touchdowns and about 200 yards. I mean, the 200 yards, we can see that. Ball. We can see that a lot of times, but scoring 5 touchdowns and against your long historic rivals. I mean, that's a story right there, my friend.
There you go. That's my Heisman for right now. That's his Heisman for right now. We'll see as we get into the later parts of the season and in December who's going to take that trip to New York City for the Heisman presentation. Now, this is where the heat turns up. Okay, guess what came out Tuesday, Bear Man?
Oh, let me take a wild guess. Oh, yeah, that's right. The college football playoff top 25.
I'm going to go from the bottom and work my way up. Is that fine with you?
You know what? You might as well.
Okay. Brock, man, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. They say Lars is in the chat too. What's up, Lars? Who else is in the chat? We got the Critical Broncos in the chat. Anybody else in the chat?
It's always good to see Lars. What's up, Lars?
It is. Now, number 25. The Pink Panthers coming off a loss to Miami not too long ago, Very disappointing loss at that. Would you agree, Bearman?
Definitely disappointing.
I mean, you can't lose to Miami. You was rocking and rolling. You can't lose to Miami. Like, no, that doesn't happen. But they did. Coming in at 24, the San Diego Aztecs. Well, ahead of them is the Fresno State Bulldogs, who beat San Diego State, by the way. You see how that worked out?
We did indeed.
Iowa's at 22. Wisconsin at 21. Wisconsin beat Iowa. We just talked about that. Minnesota comes in 20.
didn't really expect to see the Golden Gophers there. Of course, the joke is, if anybody want to say it's a conspiracy theory, you know what? The best person to call would be Mr. Jesse the Body Ventura.
Coming at number 19, the Wolfpack of NC State. Kentucky is at 18. Mississippi State, who beat Kentucky, is at 17. You starting to see a pattern here?
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss is at 16. Yeah, Ole Miss is at 16. BYU at 15. Texas A&M at 14. Auburn at 13. Baylor is at 12. Oklahoma State at 11. And Notre Dame Fighting Irish at 10. So far, so good.
So far, so good.
But
now it gets more interesting now, doesn't it?
Number 9, the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest, the lone unbeaten team from the ACC. Number 8, the Oklahoma Sooners coming in at number 8. Put a question mark right there, if you will.
Oh,
put a question mark right there.
I did that the second I laid eyes on these rankings. I told myself this has got to be rigged, but now I sound like a politician.
So we putting a question mark by Oklahoma. Number 7, the Michigan Wolverines, who we talked about, who got beat by Michigan State in a top 10 showdown last week.
Yeah, so this is definitely no mystery. I think Michigan's definitely in their spot right there.
But now we get to the cream of the crop.
Mm-hmm.
6-1 is what everybody's looking at, correct?
Oh, yes.
Number 6, the Cincinnati Bearcats. Let's put a question mark and an exclamation mark right there.
I mean, I don't think it's not that Cincinnati shouldn't be in the top 6. I think it's the order. I think it's the order of this top 6 that's kind of what's got me scratching my head. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, we're going to it. Number 5, Ohio State Buckeyes. Number 4, the Oregon Ducks. Who did Oregon beat?
Ohio State.
Okay.
That was
Michigan State at number 3. Alabama at number 2. And then you all know Georgia is going to be number 1. We knew that going in. They undefeated. They've been destroying everybody. But now, Georgia's number 1, Alabama number 2, Michigan State number 3, Oregon number 4, Ohio State number 5, and Cincinnati number 6. Bearman, you wanted first crack at the playoff committee. Here you go.
Well, the first question, I really am wondering, why is Oklahoma not in it? I don't understand. I mean, Oklahoma hasn't lost. I mean, the way I see it, there's 2 teams or several teams that have actually lost, that they're in the top 6, but Oklahoma has not lost, but they're not in it. Doesn't that bother you a little bit?
I'm gonna let you get yours. I'm gonna get mine because when I go, I'm going in tonight. I'm going in tonight.
But you know what I mean, right? Like you understand why I'm questioning this. Look,
yeah, I do.
Cincinnati has been played good, so Cincinnati, let's give them their respect. They have earned it. Now Oregon, yeah, Oregon. No disrespect to them, that's really what I'm questioning the most. Some might say Oregon is where Oklahoma should be, and Oklahoma is where Oregon should be. But that's debatable. So for the most part, I mean, that's the only problem. I mean, everybody else, Georgia, Alabama, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Cincinnati, they've earned their spot. But no disrespect to Oregon, I'm just not too sure, because I really would have thought, that Oklahoma would be there. And I'm looking at Oregon. Oregon is first in the Pac-12 North. Let's not forget, Oregon lost to Stanford. Okay? Oregon barely beat UCLA. Okay? And, looking at everything, they barely beat Fresno State. And they did end up beating Ohio State. So that's the only thing I'm really looking at with scratching my head. I really feel like Oklahoma should be in that spot, and Oregon should be where Oklahoma is. I mean, like I said, no disrespect to Oregon. But that's all I got to say. For the most part, well, aside from that, there's not really much to debate. But except for the particular order, perhaps. Perhaps the order, yeah, definitely. But as far as the teams go, top 6, overall, it's fine.
There's a lot to debate. So let me educate my brother here.
It is college football. College football, there's always a lot of things to debate.
Let me educate my brother here and everybody listening there. Sit down, grab your drink because I'm finna go in. Okay. And you know, I don't really go in unless I have a reason to go in. First of all, what's the one team I said nobody wants to see in the playoffs?
Alabama.
Where are they ranked there right now?
Number 2.
They ranked number. Did anybody see Alabama being ranked number 2 when you see it? Okay, the playoffs come out? They might be at what, 3 or 4, maybe 5, right?
Because they have that one loss. Yeah, I didn't expect number 2. I'd be a liar if I sat in open court and said, "Oh, I saw this coming." I'd be arrested for perjury.
They put them number 2. The reigning defending national champions off a loss to Texas A&M are ranked number 2 in the initial college football playoff polls. Number 2. Now you know I sat here and said nobody wants to see Alabama, right? And you know all my reasons.
I do.
Alabama don't deserve to be number 2 right now. They don't deserve to be number 2. They don't. Now, let's get to problem number 2 because all the problems are lined together. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to problem number. Matter of fact, before I get to problem number 2, let me go ahead and quiet all these Oregon Ducks haters out here. You know why is Oregon number 4? Look who's at number 5. Who's at number 5? That would be the Buckeyes of Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Did Oregon play Ohio State this year?
Yes, they did.
Where was that game held at?
Columbus, Ohio.
Who won that game?
Oregon did.
So if y'all gonna sit here and say Ohio State should be ranked above Oregon, that means head-to-head matches don't matter, huh? They played on the field, and Oregon was the better team. And matter of fact, didn't we cover that game? Didn't we say they was missing Cleve Paris for that game too?
I believe so.
And they still won, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State. Oregon and Ohio State, if they end up with the same record and they both conference championship, Oregon gets the nod before Ohio State. That's enough said. They played on the field and Oregon proved they was better. On a day they weren't even 100% healthy.
You know what's interesting in the Big Ten East, Ohio State's number 1, while Michigan's number 2, and Michigan State's number 2, and Michigan State's the one who's undefeated. It's just not often you see the undefeated team be under the 7-1 team.
So let me get that out the way. The list.
And on the list, that would be Notre Dame. Mr. Bravo